Now at 9, Missouri's highest court hears arguments to overturn a death sentence for the murderer of 10-year-old Haley Owens.
From serious candidates to cartoon characters, write-in candidates are impacting election counts in southeast Kansas. My name is Mitch Adams, and I'll have more on that story coming up.
Over 800 flags have been placed around McDonald County by the McDonald County High School's JRTC program. I'm Ty Parks, and I'll speak to the cadets about what this means to them coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Missouri Supreme Court hears arguments today that could spare the life of a man who brutally abducted, sexually assaulted, and murdered a 10-year-old Southwest Missouri girl. This is KOAM News. I'm Tanya Bach. The victim, 10-year-old Haley Owens from Springfield. The 4th grader went missing walking home from a friend's house on February 18th, 2014. Investigators later found Haley's body in plastic storage containers in Craig Wood's basement. She had been shot in the back of the head and showed signs of being tied up. Wood, a former teacher's aide and football coach, was sentenced to death in 2018 after a jury convicted him of first-degree murder. Now, Wood appealed his death sentence multiple times. In 2019, the state's highest court upheld both his conviction and death sentence. And this morning, during the latest appeal to the Missouri Supreme Court, Wood's legal team argued the jury never heard that Haley's mother wanted Wood sentenced to life in prison instead of the death penalty.
The jury never got to hear what, in fact, Haley Owens' mother wanted, but they got this different perspective that, in fact, she wanted death, and heard all about this community impact as well.
As I recall, some of the pleadings that I've seen throughout the course of this case have made the assertion that the family wanted a life sentence. In fact, we only know the wishes of one member of the family, that being the mother. We don't know what anybody else in the family wanted.
The case sparked national attention and led to thousands attending candlelight vigils for Haley, including this one in Joplin. Her family's advocacy also resulted in Haley's Law in 2019, which allows police to issue Amber Alerts faster. The Supreme Court took today's arguments under advisement and will hand down a ruling at a later date. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us now with a first look at weather.
It definitely turned out to be a great Wednesday for us today. Not as windy as what we had on Tuesday, but it was still breezy out there, and we still have northeasterly winds, kind of 5 to 10 to 15. These winds are going to start to pick up once again on your Thursday out at the south, and that will help our temperatures warm up. Clear skies, not much going on. Pretty calm night as we drop back mid to upper 40s. A little cooler in our northern counties, a little warmer once you get into our southern counties. As we go into Thursday afternoon, a little bit warmer, 73, 74 degrees for afternoon highs, and then we start to get some clouds in here tomorrow night and then into Friday morning. But still Friday, I think we'll go into the 70s for highs. Official high today was 70, average high is 63. Big cool down by the second half of the weekend. We'll look at that here in a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. Election night turned into election morning for a couple of southeast Kansas counties this week. The reason? A flood of write-in candidates that delayed ballot counting well past midnight. KOAM's Mitch Adams explains how write-in voters can slow down the entire election process.
In a local election, if no one runs for an open position, it is up to the citizens to write in a candidate to do the job. But with that comes potential delays, slowing down the process of verifying election results. Out of the 2,249 registered voters in Woodson County, 450 ballots were cast, with over 200 of those ballots voting for a write-in candidate.
If a name is written in and they can tell that was the intent was to vote for that person, we still have to count it even if our machines don't count it. And so that takes a significant amount of time.
Oftentimes, people will fill the line with a fictitious character or nickname, which could have an effect on how fast finalized results come out.
That's where our write-in board kind of can determine, like, they'll still list that person, but when we're going through and doing our voter checks, we know, like, Donald Duck doesn't really exist. And so, you know, we'll be able to establish that and have it on our records that, you know, yes, we did have this vote, but they're not an eligible person for that position.
Most Kansas counties will certify their election results within the coming weeks. Reporting in Woodson County, Kansas, Mitch Adams, KOAM News.
Now, we emailed questions about similar delays to the Bourbon County Clerk and are still waiting for a response. Voters in Cassville, Missouri approve a new sales tax to boost funding for the Cassville Fire Protection District. The measure passed while many other Southwest Missouri communities rejected tax increases. The district has not seen a budget increase since 2005, despite rising costs for fuel, supplies, and equipment. The new sales tax will reduce the current property tax levy and help fund part-time staff at the all-volunteer department.
Everybody knows the cost of everything, fuel, supplies, equipment has increased. Our funding hasn't really increased that much at all, just very little.
The funding will also support equipment maintenance and station improvements, including adding a bathroom and running water to station number 2. District officials say the tourism-based sales tax will allow visitors to help fund emergency services. The district expects to see the additional revenue in 3 to 4 months. Well, the Community Foundation of Southeast Kansas hosted its annual grant celebration this evening at Memorial Auditorium in Pittsburgh. The event granted $676,000 to 85 different organizations through multiple funds. Now, one of those, the Rita J. Bicknell Women's Health Fund, which granted $62,000 to 18 organizations. The Women's Health Grant supports programs that improve women's well-being, including fitness initiatives and essential items for women in need.
Especially given the current environment, it's rewarding to know that we're helping support great work from nonprofits here in Southeast Kansas. When funding may be a little volatile right now, that we're a stable source of funding for nonprofits in our area. And tonight we get to hear some great stories about the work they've done in our communities.
More than 40 Southeast Kansas communities will benefit from this year's awards. Well, coming up, justices question Trump's authority to impose tariffs without congressional approval.
President Trump's sweeping tariffs face their biggest test yet at the Supreme Court. I'm Rebecca Castor with a look at the arguments coming up.
But up first, trust your gut. You've heard that before, but what if your gut needs help? New at-home tests claim to analyze your digestive health. We'll show you what doctors really think. Your gut is a powerful thing. It's why the age-old saying recommends trusting it. But doctors say you should also be taking care of your gut's health. And as Gary Baumgarten reports, more people are getting the chance to learn about their guts from at-home tests.
It's natural for people to want to learn more about themselves, especially when it comes to their health. And with advancements in technology, more folks are able to try and access certain stats without going to the doctor's office with the help of various at-home tests. One sector gaining traction are gut microbiome tests.
The gut microbiome is like a living ecosystem that is composed of trillions of bacteria plus additional fungi and viruses that are living in our gut.
All of these microorganisms play critical roles in digesting food, absorbing nutrients, and more, and an unbalanced gut microbiome can negatively impact a person's health.
It can create some distress to our immune systems.
Many of these at-home tests require mailing in a stool sample to a lab. Companies then analyze the data and show how a person's gut bacteria levels stack up. But besides lacking federal regulation, some doctors like Gong Fong say these types of tests can have limits and aren't intended for clinical use, citing how unique everyone's gut microbiome is and how different tests can use different factors when comparing results. And while there's no harm in taking a test, Dr. Fong says there's ways to naturally improve gut health.
Always increase the diversity of your food, and apart from that, regular exercise and also good sleep.
Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
Well, the number of adults in their late 40s getting screened for colorectal cancer is skyrocketing. This comes after the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force changed its guidelines, recommending screening for people ages 45 to 49. Research published in JAMA found after the change, the number of adults in that age group getting screened jumped tenfold, with the biggest increases among women and white patients. Well, Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast, and later, the struggle for SNAP continues.
As the government shutdown continues and SNAP benefits are being reduced, one Joplin mother is finding it hard to put food on her table. I'm Blake Gully. I'll have that story coming up.
It definitely turned out to be a fantastic Wednesday for us today, and it looks like we're going to get a couple nice days, maybe even 3 of pretty good fall-like weather across the region. It's calm out there for us tonight. We have clear skies. We're going to stay calm as we go through the overnight hours. No rain in the forecast over the next few days, but temperatures kind of up and down a little bit up as we go through tomorrow afternoon. Chilly start, 43 in Nevada, but 50 in Bentonville, 48 in Miami, 43 kicking off in Chanute. Let me take you through the noon hour. Mid to upper 60s to mid 70s once you get into our southern counties. Now, I think most of us on average about 73 for an afternoon high as we go into Thursday afternoon. All right, so we get some clouds in here tomorrow night and into Friday morning as a weak front starts to head toward us and push through, but still we're going to go into lower 70s for highs by Friday afternoon, and even Saturday I think our temperatures are pretty good. Then we start the plunge downward as we go through the second half of the weekend. All right, so our winds are going to pick back up tomorrow. Watch them shift. They're going to shift to the south once we get into Thursday and start to pick up. So we're going to have some gusts at times, probably 25-ish, maybe upwards to 30 miles per hour as we go through tomorrow afternoon. It's not going to be as strong as what we did see yesterday. 51 to start, 69 by noon. High temp on your Thursday of 73 degrees. Let's jump into 4-state Friday night. High school football, playoff football, 65 at kickoff, 58 once we get into the fourth quarter of games. So overall, it looks pretty good for high school football. All right, so no big storm systems. We have a zonal flow, meaning we have no big systems across the region. So overall, it looks pretty good. Now, by the second half of the weekend, you're going to see a wave right there. Digs in, takes some snow across Iowa, could even give us a few flurries, but it really cools us down Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Once we get to Wednesday and Thursday, that cold air retreats. We warm back up, then we go again. Next weekend, here's another big wave that is going to shift in. So at least we got some weather action to at least watch as we go through the next 10 to 14 days. All right, Saturday still good, upper 60s, but check this out. Saturday night with this wave, we may get a few flurries. Not super atypical this time of the year, but yeah, we may get a few. And then look at the colder air dives in. We're going to stay in the 40s for highs on Sunday. We go into lower 20s as we get into Monday morning. As we go into Monday afternoon, we stay into the 40s for highs, and then we start the climb. We go back near 60 on Tuesday, and then we should once again go into the upper 60s to near 70 by the time we head into Wednesday. So kind of an up and down pattern. All right, 73 tomorrow, 72 Friday, 69 on Saturday, and then a high of only 45 on Sunday, down to 24 Sunday night, high of only 49 on Monday, back to the 60s by the middle of next week.
So pretty much, Doug, we're all over the place. Well, up next, addressing the 4-state housing shortage.
In Chanute, it's the Southeast Kansas Incorporated Housing Conference. I'm Kenny Foreman, and I'll give you an inside look coming up.
Southeast Kansas attracts plenty of workers, but many go home to other states at the end of the day. Now, the reason? Lack of housing options. This week, community leaders are gathering to tackle this issue. KOAM's Kenny Foreman shows us their solutions.
For a region as vibrant as Southeast Kansas, housing can tend to be a complicated subject.
A lot of times we can't depend on all the various programs out there, be state or federal. So we got to figure out ways to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. And so what we're hoping today and tomorrow is to share other communities' ideas and how they've helped facilitate it, how it was funded, who made it happen.
As Southeast Kansas becomes an increasingly more attractive place for people to come and work, this also creates a common sentiment among the community that there needs to be more housing options for those people to live.
They're coming in from other states and other counties, they're working here, and then they're going home. It's up to us to come together to put a housing system in the entire Southeast region that keeps them here when they get that paycheck.
A major goal of the conference is for the leaders to take the ideas and concerns being expressed and start thinking about what they can do for their community.
We've had a lot of questions from city officials and manufacturers. Those are the two industries that need to know that the cities are being provided for as far as housing, and the manufacturers need to know that economic developments like myself are on top of housing.
One speaker was Coffeyville City Manager Ben Brubaker, who is actively working to ensure that there is enough financial support for continuous growth in the city.
Coffeyville has a sales tax with a portion of that devoted to housing, and so we're out trying to partner with everyone we can on how can we utilize those funds to best incentivize that growth and development that we need in the housing area.
In Chanute, Kenny Foreman, KOAM News.
In addition to housing, SEK Incorporated also works to come up with solutions when it comes to workforce development and child care. They represent city governments from 12 counties throughout Southeast Kansas. Well, coming up next, a new ranch partnership brings unforgettable horse encounters to young athletes. 100 Special Olympics athletes spent the day at Orion Ranch Sanctuary in Arcadia, Kansas, experiencing an event organizers call Hearts and Hooves. Special Olympics Kansas partnered with the ranch, giving athletes a chance to meet rescued horses, donkeys, and other animals, many for the first time. Participants also enjoyed games, music, crafts, and time with volunteers, all in a supportive and welcoming environment.
The partnership between the ranch and us bring the experiences to the athletes that have never met horses before. Today they got to meet horses and donkeys, and we've heard so many times, time and time again today, that this is the first time that they've ever gotten to pet a horse before.
The partnership began only 6 months ago, and both sides say they hope to continue expanding opportunities like this for years to come. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. The government shutdown continues, and now rising food costs and reduced benefits create a perfect storm for local families. And justices question Trump's authority to impose tariffs without congressional approval.
You're watching the 4 States Most Watched News.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The federal government shutdown rounds out its 36th day, the longest in U.S. history. At a White House breakfast meeting, President Trump pressured Republican senators to scrap the filibuster rule that requires 60 votes to advance most legislation. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the votes are not there to change the rule that would let Republicans fund the government and end the shutdown without the needed Democratic votes.
It's time for Republicans to do what they have to do, and that's terminate the filibuster. It's the only way you can do it. And if you don't terminate the filibuster, you'll be in bad shape. We won't pass any legislation. There'll be no legislation passed for 3 1/4. We have 3 1/4 years, so it's a long time.
Leader Jeffries and I this morning demanded that Donald Trump sit down and meet with us to address the health care crisis. Anytime, anywhere, any place, we're ready to meet with him. It's time to sit down and negotiate with Democrats to bring this Republican shutdown to an end and address the health care crisis.
Well, some lawmakers say bipartisan negotiations are making progress on a continuing resolution to fund the government through January. Democrats continue to push for Affordable Care Act subsidy extensions, while Republicans urge support for short-term spending measures. Well, as the government shutdown continues, many families who rely on SNAP benefits are still waiting for help. The USDA gave states guidance on issuing partial SNAP benefits today, but there are other hurdles. According to the Missouri Department of Social Services, their computer system is not designed to issue partial payments. A partial payment isn't something they've done before. KOAM's Blake Goley spoke with one Joplin mother about how the delay is affecting her family and the growing demand at local food pantries.
Jennifer Wolf is a full-time mom caring for her son with autism. She says the shutdown has made it harder to manage daily expenses, especially when it comes to putting food on the table.
The minute I got a job, his disability started lowering. Food stamps were taken away. Now I have to pay for things on Medicaid. And they talk about how government assistance is supposed to be a hand up and not a handout, but they haven't made it that way. You can't get a hand up when the minute you start an income, they take everything away.
Here at Cross Lines in Joplin, the demand for food assistance has jumped nearly 60% from this time last year. The director says families that once visited once every 90 days are now allowed to come once in November and December. It's a movement to help bridge the gap left by the partial SNAP payments.
With the way that prices are rising because of everything they're doing, a partial payment isn't going to even get people a partial month of food. And that's what nobody's really starting to realize. And then there's people with food allergies, like myself. My son and I are both lactose intolerant, and it's a sacrifice that I've had to make to just get normal milk because we can't afford to have the soy milk or the almond milk for a full month.
Jennifer is thankful for organizations like Cross Lines for stepping in during her time of need. In Joplin, Blake Gully, KOAM News.
Missouri DSS officials say once they are able to issue partial payments, they will be loaded onto EBT cards like before, and they are still working on a timeline for when SNAP benefits will be distributed. Well, President Trump's economic agenda faced a major test at the Supreme Court today. His sweeping tariffs could be in jeopardy. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor explains why.
President Trump says this ruling will be life or death for the country, but the justices had major reservations about a president being allowed to issue tariffs unchecked. It's a major test for President Trump's executive powers and could end with the government returning billions of dollars in tariff revenue if it loses at the Supreme Court.
My tariffs are bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars and are helping slash the deficit this year.
At issue, whether the president intruded on the power of Congress when he issued tariffs under an emergency powers law.
The vehicle is imposition of taxes on Americans, and that has always been the core power of Congress.
Lawyers for the Trump administration argued the case is not about the power to tax, but the ability to regulate foreign affairs.
It's the power to regulate foreign commerce. These are regulatory tariffs. They are not revenue-raising tariffs.
But even the court's conservative majority seemed skeptical.
It's a one-way ratchet toward the gradual but continual accretion of power in the executive branch.
12 Democratic-led states brought the case, along with several small businesses who say the president's tariffs are driving them into bankruptcy.
Our very survival is at stake, and I urge the court to recognize the real harm these tariffs inflict on American families and businesses.
This issue is considered time-sensitive, and the justices are expected to rule in a matter of weeks. If the justices rule against the president, the Trump administration says it will find another way to impose tariffs. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Well, Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast. And later, local cadets turn flag planting into a mission to serve veterans and build character.
It definitely turned out to be a fantastic Wednesday for us today, and it looks like we're going to get a couple nice days, maybe even 3 of pretty good fall-like weather across the region. It's calm out there for us tonight. We have clear skies. We're going to stay calm as we go through the overnight hours. No rain in the forecast over the next few days, but temperatures kind of up and down, a little bit up as we go through tomorrow afternoon. Chilly start, 43 in Nevada, but 50 in Bentonville, 48 in Miami, 43 kicking off in Chanute. Let me take you through the noon hour. Mid to upper 60s to mid 70s once you get into our southern counties. Now, I think most of us on average about 73 for an afternoon high as we go into Thursday afternoon. All right, so we get some clouds in here tomorrow night and into Friday morning as a weak front starts to head toward us and push through, but still we're going to go into lower 70s for highs by Friday afternoon, and even Saturday. I think our temperatures are pretty good. Then we start the plunge downward as we go through the second half of the weekend. All right, so our winds are going to pick back up tomorrow. Watch them shift. They're going to shift to the south once we get into Thursday and start to pick up. So we're going to have some gusts at times, probably 25-ish. Maybe upwards to 30 miles per hour as we go through tomorrow afternoon. It's not going to be as strong as what we did see yesterday. 51 to start, 69 by noon. High temp on your Thursday of 73 degrees. Let's jump into 4-state Friday night. High school football, playoff football, 65 at kickoff, 58 once we get into the fourth quarter of games. So overall, it looks pretty good for high school football. All right, so no big storm systems. We have a zonal flow, meaning we have no big systems across the region. So overall, it looks pretty good. Now, by the second half of the weekend, you're going to see a wave right there. Digs in, takes some snow across Iowa, could even give us a few flurries, but it really cools us down Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Once we get to Wednesday and Thursday, that cold air retreats, we warm back up, then we go again. Next weekend, here's another big wave that is going to shift in. So at least we got some weather action to at least watch as we go through the next 10 to 14 days. All right, Saturday still good, upper 60s, but check this out. Saturday night with this wave, we may get a few flurries. Not super atypical this time of the year, but yeah, we may get a few. And then look at the colder air dives in. We're going to stay in the 40s, 4 highs on Sunday. We go into lower 20s as we get into Monday morning. As we go into Monday afternoon, we stay into the 40s, 4 highs, and then we start the climb. We go back near 60 on Tuesday, and then we should once again go into the upper 60s to near 70 by the time we head into Wednesday. So kind of an up and down pattern. All right, 73 tomorrow, 72 Friday, 69 on Saturday, and then a high of only 45 on Sunday, down to 24 Sunday night, high of only 49 on Monday, back to the 60s by the middle of next week.
All over the place there, Doug. Well, still ahead, Webb City battles St. Pius in the Class 4A state volleyball tournament. Plus, we showcase the bond between one Pitt State football captain and his younger brother, whose journey at PSU is just getting started. A key for Pitt State football's success this season has come in the secondary with a lot of veteran experience. And for one redshirt senior corner, his last run with the Gorillas means even more. KOAM Sports Director Ryan Blank has his story.
For Jalen and Josiah Fuchsa, football has taken their bond as brothers to another level, dating back to their days as kids.
I feel like he's my best friend. I feel like off the field we're kind of the same person. We're really quiet. You know, we just committed to playing football and just trying to get to the next level.
It means everything to me. You know, I'm blessed. I have someone, you know, that's always competing next to me, you know, looking up to me, trying to fill in my shoes. He's my best friend, you know, just being around him all the time, you know, even as kids. You know, I'm just grateful he's here.
2025 is Jalen's final season with the Gorillas as a redshirt senior. But this year is even more special, sharing the field and donning the crimson and gold with Josiah, who's a freshman.
Been great, you know, ever since we were young kids, you know, we always pushed each other, you know, we always competed. Being here at Pitt State at such a high level, you know, still doing it since we were kids. So, you know, I'm just grateful and blessed. Every brother duo, you know, they always dream about being on the same team, you know. Again, I'm just blessed, you know, we had the opportunity.
Ever since I've been here, since he's been here, I always felt like it was home, but it's like home was already here because he's here and he's family. So it's a memory we're gonna remember for the rest of our lives, honestly, because not a lot of people can say they played college football at a great program with their older brothers.
As part of his last dance with Pitt State, Jalen was named a captain by the team, an honor that says a lot about his character.
He's one of the hardest workers I've ever been around. He's a guy that stays after practice, stays after workouts, gets some extra work in. So him being that type of person is probably what earned him, you know, that role as a captain for us.
Jalen is a 4-year starter for the Gorillas after redshirting his freshman year. Looking ahead to next season, Josiah has a chance to follow in his brother's footsteps as PSU graduates most of its secondary.
We graduated Dallas Flowers, who went on to the NFL. Graduated Jordan Hendy, who was an all-conference player for us. So there was a lot of opportunity, you know, for Jalen in his redshirt freshman year and ended up starting for us in 2022. And, you know, Josiah and all of our young corners are going to be in a similar situation this offseason. You know, we're going to graduate 3 senior corners.
I feel like I definitely have an advantage over most freshmen, honestly, in the country. I get to come into a powerhouse school such as Pitt State, and I have a brother who's been a 4-year starter. We play the same position. It's just a big blessing to be able to play with him and honestly just train with him, see the type of dedication it really takes to reach that All-American level, 4-year starter level. So he's honestly like the blueprint of something I want to become.
For head coach Tom Anthony, he sees a lot of the same player when watching the Fuchs brothers, generating excitement for Josiah's future.
Both of them were elite returners, in the return game, on top of being really good cornerbacks as well, and obviously getting really good football players out of the Dallas Metroplex. So when you can pull kids out of an area like that play at a high level in high school, you're getting a really good football player. And we know Josiah Fuchs is a heck of a football player, and I'm excited to see what he does here for the next 3 to 4 years.
Jalen and Josiah are focused on the rest of this season while cherishing their time together on the field. Reporting for KOAM Sports, I'm Ryan Blank.
Well, the Gorillas return to action this Saturday in Warrensburg against Central Missouri. The Missouri Class 4A state volleyball tournament continues today with the semifinals as the Webb City Cardinals battle the St. Pius Lancers. The Cardinals defeated Marshfield in the quarterfinals last Saturday. Now starting with the third set, Webb City tailing 2-0, and the defense comes up with the play. Jaylee Van Beesler denies this spike attempt. She had 5 kills in the set. Now the Cardinals leading later in the game, and it's the defense again. Kaylin and Jocelyn Maxwell combined for this block as Webb City takes the third set. Now the fourth set would go back and forth. Cardinal Savannah Crane fools the defense with this touch for the kill. Now Webb City's still hanging around off the Lancers serve. They go to their senior Marley Harper, and she brings the power with this spike for a kill of her own. But St. Pius advances to the title game with a win in 4 sets. The Cardinals will play in the third place game tomorrow. We're back with more news after this. Members of the McDonald County JROTC program are holding a unique patriotic fundraiser just in time for Veterans Day. They're putting up flags around Anderson, Missouri. As KOAM's Ty Parks explains, the project is both a fundraiser and an act of service.
So all around the county, we plant flags in honor of the veterans who serve here, at home, or on foreign soils.
These JROTC cadets are proud to plant the flag at local businesses as a fundraiser.
To me, the American flag represents the home of free, and it gives honor to all those who serve to this day.
Honey Pop's Restaurant is a local business that supports the JROTC program whenever it can.
Basically, it installs the traits and characteristics that you want in that next generation of children. Honesty, honor, integrity, every bit of that. I mean, that's core values of ROTC.
Every flag planted represents something to these cadets.
Every flag I plant feels like another soldier I helped. And I always love to help my soldiers because they are going to be my brothers in arms as well.
The money raised goes to help replace torn flags for the Field of Flags, as well as to go pay for meals when the cadets are doing community service. Both of these cadets have taken the oath to enlist in the military.
Pride, it means a lot to serve and help us pick up after the ones who've served before us. I like the idea that I am taking on a legacy that many have started, and I will hopefully help be a part of this legacy.
In Anderson, Missouri, Ty Parks, KOAM News.
Now, businesses we spoke with say they are proud to have the flags displayed in their yards and support the JROTC program. Up next, Mark Anthony announces his first Vegas residency, and Jonathan Bailey earns a major honor. Those stories and more in Hollywood Nation. A musical number, a mystery comedy, and a new Las Vegas residency. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has a look at these stories and more in today's Hollywood Nation.
I'm a private investigator.
Detective Danson returns. People makes a wicked good choice. And Anthony is Vegas bound in the Hollywood Nation. 4-time Grammy and 8-time Latin Grammy Award winner Mark Anthony is set for his first ever Las Vegas residency. Mark Anthony Vegas My Way will be a one-man show unlike any he's done before. 10 live performances at the Fontainebleau's Blue Live Theater start this February. Jonathan Bailey of Wicked for Good is People's Sexiest Man Alive 2025. According to the mag, upon hearing the news, Bailey said it's a huge honor, he's incredibly flattered, and joked it's completely absurd. Bailey will be back on the big screen in the Wicked sequel November 21st.
I like your trench coat. You look like a spy.
That's a ridiculous assertion.
Ted Danson stars in today's First Looks with the trailer for season 2 of A Man on the Inside. This time, his retired professor turned private investigator Charles goes undercover on a college campus. Friends from the first season return, and Danson's real-life wife, Mary Steenburgen, joins the cast. Season 2 premieres on Netflix November 20th.
A Neil Diamond experience. Lightning and thunder!
Plus, good times are so good in today's First Looks with a new trailer for Song Sung Blue, starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson. Inspired by a true story, the film centers on a couple who form a Neil Diamond tribute band. The new look shows them forming the duo, falling in love, and facing great obstacles along the way as they follow their musical dreams. The film is in theaters nationwide this Christmas.
It's good.
So good.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of Andy and bears enjoying leftover pumpkins at the Potawatomi Zoo in South Bend, Indiana. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.